ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Hare Krishna, my dear wonderful devotees. So in the last episode, we started talking about shlokas 27 and 28 of chapter 5 Karma Sannyasa Yoga, and we are not completely done with it, so let's continue our discussion. स्पर्शान् कृत्वा बहिर्बाह्यां चक्षुश्चैवान्तरे भ्रुवो प्राणापानौ समौ कृत्वा नासाभ्यन्तरचारिणौ यतेन्द्रिया मनोबुद्धिर्मुनिर्मोक्षपरायणः विगतेच्छा भयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः. So here in these two shlokas, Krishna is saying, shutting out all the external sense objects. Sparshan kritva bahir-bahyam, so all the external objects, shut them out. Chakshush chaivantare bhruvo. And what to do? Keep your vision, chakshu, eyes, concentrated between your eyebrows on the Agna Chakra. Pranapanau samo kritva, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils. Thus, Yatendriya Mano Buddhir, controlling the mind and intelligence. Munir Moksha Parayanaha Vigatecha Bayakrodo Yassada Mukta Evasaha. Controlling the mind, senses, intelligence, the transcendentalist, Muni, becomes free from desire, fear and anger. Vigatecha Bhayakrodo, one who is always in this state, is certainly liberated. So Krishna is very nicely talking about Dhyana Yoga, but the problem is this is not a practical process for Kali Yuga, especially even more for Grihasthas, because this requires leaving the residence, giving up the association of one's family members, relatives, going into the forest, sitting in a secluded place where all kinds of fears are there. Any animal can come, any insect can come. You don't know where your next meal is going to come from. All kinds of difficulties are there. And then also physically, right? To sit in a certain position, sit a certain way and be so focused. But nevertheless, some people are still interested. And that's why Krishna is going to talk elaborately. Here in 2 shlokas, very briefly he touched upon this. But in 6th chapter, the whole chapter predominantly is going to focus on this particular yoga, that is Dhyana Yoga, which is coming up. And now, if anybody, which I wish all of you, read the purport given by Prabhupada. Some of you may ask, Mataji, isn't this called Bhagavad Gita as it is? As it is, without any interpretation? Then how come clearly in shlokas 27 and 28, Krishna is talking about Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, and how come Prabhupada in the very first paragraph of the purport for these 2 shlokas, he is talking about Bhakti Yoga? How can that be as it is? Krishna is talking about Ashtanga Yoga, Prabhupada is talking about Bhakti Yoga in the first paragraph. Well, dear devotees, this is because of the costless compassion of Prabhupada. He is doing us a great favor. And what is that favor? Because right now in 5th chapter, we may be talking about Karma Yoga, no doubt. And some of you may think, whoa, okay, now I need to be a Karma Yogi. You know what? But Karma Yoga is not the ultimate. Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate. But for you to realize this, we have to go through next several chapters. But by the time we get to that, which many people may not even get to, they may get too busy working up, becoming Karma Yogis, when that's not really the ultimate. So Prabhupada, because he understands the essence of Bhagavad Gita, the best portion of Bhagavad Gita, of course everything is best only, but the essence, the ultimate secret of Bhagavad Gita is Bhakti Yoga. So Prabhupada does not want anybody to lose out on knowing this. So although Krishna is talking about Ashtanga Yoga in these two shlokas, Prabhupada is eager to tell, hey listen, but Ashtanga Yoga is not the ultimate, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate, Bhakti Yoga is the essence. So you can directly take up Bhakti Yoga instead of taking these impractical processes for Kali Yuga. So Prabhupada is actually doing us a favor. Like imagine, you went to write an exam and in that exam there are 30 questions, okay? Stay with me here. And right in the beginning, they have put on the question paper, printed on the question paper saying, first read all the 30 questions and then come back and answer. But you know how human mind is like, right? What we are told to do, we want to do exactly opposite. Most people, that's what they do because of false ego. So, when somebody is told, read all the 30 questions and then answer, now the crazy ones, they will read the first question is like, oh, actually I know this answer, let me write it off. Why go through all the 30 questions? I'll finish it off, I know the answer. And second question, oh, I know this also, let me finish this off. Third question, whoa, I know this also, let me write. Fourth question, okay, I know half, I don't know half, I'll write the half that I know, I'll come back to it. So like this, imagine you're writing first, second, third, fourth, and then finally, after answering all these, whichever ones you know, you get to 30th question, and imagine in 30th question, the questioner has said, you don't have to answer all the first 29 questions, simply answer the 30th question, and you will get the marks for all 30 questions. Oh. Now we may bang our heads and say, what a crazy person I was, how foolish on my part. I should have just read the instructions properly. And sometimes we may get too busy in answering the first 29 questions and we may run out of time to get to the 30th question. So because you didn't follow the instructions properly, now, bad luck. So similarly, in Bhagavad Gita also, right now, although Krishna is talking about Karma Yoga, later in 6th chapter, he'll talk about Ashtanga Yoga, he will talk about Jnana Yoga. But he is going to say eventually that Bhakti Yoga is the best, the 30th question, right? And he is going to say if you do Bhakti Yoga, you don't have to do the others. Everything is included and surpassed in Bhakti Yoga. But many foolish people they will jump, just like answering 1, 2, 3, 4. They're like, I'll try Karma Yoga, I'll try Jnana Yoga. But you missed out on the essence. And sometimes you get too busy, many lifetimes will go in becoming a perfected Karma Yogi. Many lifetimes will go in becoming a perfected Jnana Yogi. But eventually still you have to come to the 30th question. You have to come to Bhakti Yoga to perfect your sadhana. So why not directly take Bhakti Yoga? So I hope that makes sense, right? With that simple example that I gave. That's why Prabhupada is so eager. Whether it's Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, whatever yoga, Prabhupada keeps glorifying Bhakti Yoga. So although on the surface level, it may seem like it is not Bhagavad Gita as it is, actually it is Bhagavad Gita as it is, because the essence Krishna has given is been preserved by Prabhupada and is being given by Prabhupada on every single page of Bhagavad Gita as it is. So we should be extremely grateful for this major favor done by Prabhupada upon us, the living entities, the fallen souls. Okay, so this is how these two shlokas, Krishna is setting the stage for the 6th chapter to come. But there is one more shloka, very important shloka, that is shloka number 29 of chapter 5, which we need to discuss before we get to chapter 6. So in the next episode, let's come back and we will see what Krishna has to reveal in the last shloka of chapter 5. Take care. I'll see you soon. Hare Krishna.